Thinking of getting a brand new iPhone 14, just like this iPhone 14 Pro Max, but don't know what storage size you need? Well, today I'm going to show you how to pick the correct iPhone storage size just for you. Now, just in case you've been living under a rock for the last few weeks, there are 4 iPhone 14 models. We have the iPhone 14, the iPhone 14 Plus, the iPhone 14 Pro, and the iPhone 14 Pro Max, just like that I've got here. But there are different storage sizes for the iPhone 14 range. So all 4 of the iPhone 14 models do storage options of 128GB, 256GB, 512GB, and also just for the Pro models like the 14 Pro Max, there's also a 1TB option. Now today I'm going to help you pick what is going to be the correct size storage that you will need for your next iPhone, what hopefully will be an iPhone 14. And don't worry if you don't understand gigabytes or terabytes, I'm just going to make it really simple for you. I'm going to show you how many photos or how many apps or how many hours of video footage you can fit on all the different storage sizes. And from that, you should be able to work out what iPhone is right for you. Now, the first step, most likely you're probably moving from another iPhone or from another Android phone to your brand new iPhone 14 model, and you need to know how much storage size you've used. If you have an iPhone right now, the best thing to do is go to Settings, then go to General, then after this go to iPhone Storage. And at the top here, it might take a second or two for all your storage to sort of sort itself out, but it should give you the total amount of storage that you have used on your iPhone. And this should be the minimum amount of storage that you will need on your next phone. And what I'm talking about here is that, say for example you've used say 130GB, then you'll know that the 128GB option is not going to be enough. And instead, you will definitely need a 256GB model. However, if you say use, I don't know, like me for example, I've used around 44GB or something like this, then straight away I know that I could probably survive with a 128GB option, depending on how much I use my phone, what I'll talk about in a moment. But I just want to quickly also say that the way how to get your iPhone storage up is very different how you can get it up on Android. And I don't really know, depending on the manufacturer or kind of phone you've got, it's different ways of getting it and showing how much storage you've used. So the best thing I would recommend is going onto your manufacturer's website, find some help guides and find out how to find out how much storage you've used on your phone, and do that same sort of example that if you have used, for example, 130GB of storage, then you know 128GB is not going to cut you. So next, let's talk about the different storage options and which one is best for you. Now, first of all, I would say the 128GB option is the most popular one that is sold out there. Most people pick this because it's the cheapest way of getting your iPhone 14 model. And it is a good idea to do this, but sometimes it's also a bit of a negative, depending on what type of user you are. Now, if you are a person who's just going to be taking a couple of photos, the odd video, here and there, and what I mean by this, a couple of photos, I'm literally saying you're taking about, say, 5 to 10 photos a week, or for example, you're taking one video a week and that video is only up to say 30 seconds, then 128GB is probably going to be more than enough for you. At the end of the day, 128GB on an iPhone 14 model can store around about 27,000 to 35,000 photos. That's if you had all of that storage available. And that basically equates to around about 45 hours of 1080p video footage. Not 4K, 1080p video footage. And that's almost 2 days leaving your camera on non-stop. And like I do say again, that is using all of your storage. And as you'll know straight away, your phone is using storage for other things like iOS 16, for example, and also your apps. And talk about apps. You're probably wanting to know how many apps you could fit on 128GB. Well, let's say we did a rule of thumb here that each app was about 30 megabytes big. So I'm not talking those big 3D games out there. I'm just talking like your standardy kind of, I don't know, fitness tracker apps out there that are very small, for example. Then that type of app is probably around about 30 sort of megabytes big. If you had basically all your apps at 30 megabytes big, you could probably store about 3,000 apps on this iPhone with nothing else on it. No iOS 16, no photos, just literally just the apps. But I think you're getting the point here. You're not going to store 3,000 apps on your phone, and you're probably not going to store, say, 30,000 sort of photos on your phone all at the same time. And if you are, then you need to really step up onto the next storage option. And that next option is 256 gigabytes. Now, personally, I would say if you are a person who's going to be taking photos sort of every day, you know, maybe a few every day, so maybe 2 or 3, or for example, you're going to be taking, say, a video every day as well, and you're probably installing a brand new app, I would say probably once a week or so, then probably 256 gigabytes is right for you. And the main reason why I would say that is basically all of those numbers that I've just given you before are doubled. So where I said where you could store, say, about 30,000 photos, this is now about 60,000 photos, and that video footage is also doubled up to about 90 hours of 1080p, and you could also store around about, say, 6,000 apps at 30 megabytes. And just in case you don't know what I'm talking about and skipped over this, rewatch the 128 gigabyte storage option what I just spoke about. Ideally, I would say this storage option is really good if you're definitely stepping up, say, from a 128 gigabyte option phone right now. Even if you've, say, used 80 gigabytes in the last sort of year or two on your last phone, then I would still say get a 256 gigabytes, because at the end of the day, you're not probably going to be keeping this phone for a year. Most of you will be probably keeping it for 2 years plus, and you don't want to pick that wrong option of getting a smaller 128 gigabytes, filling it up, and realizing you're going to have to get a different phone to basically put more onto your phone. But there are other options as well, including cloud storage, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's next of all talk about the next storage size, and that storage size is 512 gigabytes. So as you can imagine, everything doubles again in space. And what I mean is, so for example, you can store around about 140,000 sort of photos now on your iPhone, and also at the same time, you can record around about 200 hours of 1080p video. And if you don't know what I'm talking about here, go back and rewatch the 256 gigabytes and the 128 gigabyte storage options, because it will basically give you the translation of photos and videos into the kind of storage options. So like I said, everything doubles again, and really I can't really think of a way where you'd be storing, say, 12,000 apps on your phone. Very, very unlikely, but this is probably more for people who are going to be out there recording 4K video probably on their iPhone all the time, also taking photos all the time as well. Maybe you are an amateur sort of photographer, or maybe you're a bit of a blogger, or maybe you love Instagram a bit too much. Then basically this is the storage option for you. If you're basically taking a photo, say, every couple of hours, or you're doing a couple of videos every day, this is going to be the best storage option for you, 512 gigabytes, because you're going to have ample amount of space to do this with. Something else to look forward to right now is the giveaway we're doing on this channel. And recently I gave away a 14-inch MacBook Pro M1 Pro, and if you want to know who won that, do check out the video on my channel. But as we're approaching 500,000 subscribers, that's 500,000, I'm doing something a bit special. I'm actually giving away 3 prizes to 3 lucky people this time. So it's 1 prize for each person on an international giveaway again. And I want to show you what those prizes are. The first one, funny enough, is an iPhone 14 Pro Max, and this is a 256 gigabyte option model. So to be honest, this will suit most people. The next prize after that I'm going to be giving away to 1 lucky person is this. It is a MacBook Air M2, and this is also the 10-core GPU option model, and also has 16 gigabytes of RAM inside. And then finally, I'm giving away again another MacBook Pro M1 Pro 8-core, 14-inch, 16 gigabyte storage option with 512 gigabytes of storage inside. And like I said, I'm giving away one of these prizes to 3 lucky people, so 1 prize per person. And if you want to be in a chance to win one of these prizes, all you need to do is write down in the comments below of what sort of Apple gear you're planning to buy in 2022. Maybe it's going to be a MacBook Air like this one here. Or maybe you're planning on getting yourself a brand new iPhone. I would love to know in the comments below. And at the same time, if you are brand new here, make sure you also subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell, because I'll be making a video when we get over 500,000 subscribers announcing who the winner is. Now, just on that note as well, sadly there are lots of scammers and spammers out there. Some of them are even impersonating me, telling you to WhatsApp them or to Telegram them, and although some of them are also telling you to part with some of your money. This is not me at all. Please do report these guys, because they're making the community on YouTube a right mess at the moment. So do ignore them, and please also do report them. And with that out of the way, guys, let's talk about the next storage option, and that is the 1 terabyte option. So again, as you can imagine, with 1 terabyte, everything is doubled again. And if you don't know what I'm talking about saying doubling everything, go back, watch the 512 gigabytes, 256 gigabyte, and also the 128 gigabyte options of storage. What I mean by this is that the amount of photos you can probably store on this is so high. In fact, the total number you can actually probably store is 300,000 photos. And not only this, you could probably store around about almost between 450 to 500 hours of 1080p video on a 1 terabyte option. And this is a huge amount of storage. Now, this storage option, I would not be buying it just to go, oh, look at me, I've got an iPhone 14 Pro Max with 1 terabyte of storage. You need to buy it if you're going to use it, and you really need to know you're going to definitely be using it, because otherwise it is going to be a big waste of money. I would say right now, if you are using your phone, taking, I don't know, photos every day, hundreds of photos every day, what you're going to use, not that you go home and delete them that night, and also that you're recording, saying about an hours of video footage every day, and also keeping that video footage and not deleting it, then yeah, you probably need the 1 terabyte option. If you are a person who goes through your photos after, say, a long day, if you go out to, say, I don't know, Disney World, and sort of delete half of your photos, then probably I would not actually say that you would need 1 terabyte. Don't get deluded into thinking that 1 terabyte is the best thing ever. And talk about the storage options. A lot of people think that one day that when you go to sell your iPhone, that probably you'll get more money for actually buying a higher storage amount right now and getting more money in the future. Well, to be honest, that's not really the case. I went on eBay recently and looked at the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and you can see here the prices. They sit around about $900 to about $1,000, and this is the storage options of 128 gigabytes, 256 gigabytes, and there's even a 512 in here, and they're all around the same sort of price. Compared to Apple's pricing that you can see here on their website, what is the identical pricing to the iPhone 13 Pro Max in America only, I must just add, because it is more expensive in other countries. There is a $500 difference between all the storage options. So that is going from 128 gigabytes all the way up to 1 terabyte. So it would cost you $500 more to do that. And there is also a solution to get around that for your storage if you don't really want to spend up to 1 terabyte, but you still want to keep your photos. And that is iCloud Plus. Now, there are 3 tiers of iCloud Plus storage options, and just in case you didn't know what iCloud Plus does, this backs up all of your photos, your apps, and everything into the cloud. And basically, if you did lose your phone or anything like that, all your photos are securely saved on Apple servers somewhere in the world, and they are very, very secure, by the way. And you'd be able to retrieve all your photos back through a computer like a Mac or a laptop by going to iCloud.com, or you'd be able to get your photos back also going on, say, another iPhone or another iPad if you got a replacement one. But something else what's really, really cool about iCloud Plus is that once your photos are actually uploaded to the cloud, Apple quite a lot of the time actually deletes the photo on your actual phone because it's stored in the cloud, and frees up space on your phone, so basically you can take more photos and you can also take more videos. It's a really, really cool thing to have. Now, there are 3 tier options. One of them is 50 gigabytes, and to be honest, in 2022 I wouldn't actually say this 50 gigabyte option is really worth it anymore, especially that, you know, there's 128 gigabyte as the smallest option of iPhone 14s out there. 50 gigabytes shouldn't really exist. Personally, I think the next tier should exist as the lowest amount, and that is 200 gigabytes, and that costs $3 a month to store all your photos in the cloud, or up to 200 gigabytes of storage of photos and apps and things like that into the cloud. And it's really worth getting at if you are buying yourself, say, the 128 gigabyte and also the 256 gigabyte storage option. But also at the same time, there is also a 2 terabyte option, and this is amazing because at the end of the day, there's only 1 terabyte of storage on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, for example, as the highest amount, and I would recommend getting this. It does cost $10 a month, but when you think about it, it probably does work out to be cheaper to be buying this than actually buying and actually getting yourself, say, a 128 gigabyte iPhone or a 256 gigabyte iPhone instead of getting yourself a 1 terabyte over, say, a 2-year contract. It'd be cheaper to pay $10 a month, plus all your photos are completely secure, plus it's also 2 terabytes, so it's double the space of the highest spec or highest storage spec of an iPhone 14 that you can buy right now. And like I said, there is that cool option what iPhones do where they store things into the cloud and then sort of delete them off your phone, but you can still access them right there whenever you've got signal like Wi-Fi, or if you're in 5G, 4G or 3G. It's really, really cool to use, and it just synchronizes really, really well. So I definitely look into that. Well guys, with that as well, it's time to wrap up this video. So if you have enjoyed watching it, please do press the like button, and also at the same time as well, if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews and comparisons, please make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell. Until next time guys, I will see you really soon. Bye bye.